Welcome to Table for One. I'm the narrator, and in today's video, I'm going to play a solo game of Anachrony. And in this video, I'm going to do my best to showcase the Quantum Loops module from the Future Imperfect expansion. Let's get rolling. So I am all set up to play a solo game of Anachrony using the Quantum Loops module from the Future Imperfect expansion. And of course, I released a rules refresher video at the same time as this playthrough. So if you don't know how to use Quantum Loops and you'd like to learn a little bit about it first, you can go watch that video. Otherwise, I'll be playing through it now against the Chronosis. And as usual for these videos, the other mini expansions I'm using include the alternate timelines here, the variable anomalies. So I have those here with my anomaly remover tile over here, and then the neutronide buildings, which are shuffled into these stacks here. And so I've got my Quantum Loops cards set up here. I've got 3 of them for the first era, and there are a couple cards that you cannot have in the first era, so I've made sure that I don't have them here. And there is also a super project associated with Quantum Loops, and I wanted to use it in this video. So what I did was I took it and I shuffled it into the super project stack and made sure it was in the top 4, so that it would appear in one of the first 4 eras. So it was not in era 1 or 2, so it's going to be one of these 2 will be the super project from the Quantum Loops module. And then there is no Quantum Loops solo objective cards, so these are just 3 regular solo objective cards that I drew at random. And there is no action tile for Chronosis for the Quantum Loops module either. So I just took the default 3. So I've got action tiles C01, C02, and C03, and I put all 3 of them on the B side to increase the difficulty. Also, I have closed off this second World Council space. That should increase the difficulty as well. I think this one's going to be pretty tough, but I keep winning these playthroughs, so I've got to increase the difficulty just to keep it interesting for everybody else. I don't mind the low difficulty when I'm playing by myself, but I think I might be in trouble on this one because I've just been cycling through the different paths, and I'm on Path of Dominance this time. Of course, I've got the B side of the board here, and I've selected Captain Wolf because the last time I played with this path on this channel, I used the other leader I had, Treasure Hunter Samira, and I really prefer for her to be the leader. So the special ability for Captain Wolf is during the power-up phase, you can spend 2 water to get an energy core, or you can spend an energy core to get 2 water. And I don't feel like I really know how to manage that, so it's going to make it difficult. And then I've also used the opposite side of this board that I used from the last playthrough as well. So in order to evacuate, I need to have my morale track all the way to the right, and then that'll earn me 3 victory points plus 1 victory point for every worker I have. And I feel like that's going to be super tough too, so I'm not real confident or I guess happy with this combination. I just think I'm not going to be very good at it. So the extra increased difficulty on these 3 action tiles, and by closing off that space, I think this might be the one where I lose. But hey, that's all right. So Chronosis is first player as usual, so I've got 1 extra water with my starting resources. And then a couple other things here. I've got my Quantum Loops warp tile, and then I've also got this stack of unused super projects and a stack of unused solo goals or solo objectives, because some of these Quantum Loop cards may allow me to get things out of those stacks. I've got them available. They're shuffled up. A couple other things to note. I am trying a new version of audio software, the recording software. So let me know what you think in the comments. Hopefully it cuts down on some clicks and pops and other just background hums and stuff. So let me know if the audio's come through clearly. And then real briefly before I start, I've been mentioning it on some of these playthrough videos, and just a quick update. I've mentioned my friends and I are making some 3D components for Anachrony, and so I just want to show off this a little bit. So we finalized our energy cores here. So these are our 3D printed energy cores, and I'm using them today. They're really just meant for solo play, but if you recall, there's a cardboard energy core and then this cardboard exhausted energy core, and we draw those out of the bag. And for Anachrony, I already bought these really nice acrylic energy cores, but you can't use them with the drawbag system because there's no acrylic exhausted version. They all need to feel the same when you draw them out of the bag. So we've just made these 3D energy cores with 3D exhausted energy cores, so they all feel identical, and then they just look different. So I'm going to use these in the drawbag system today. So Chronosis starts with 5 exhausted and 5 regular energy cores. I usually call them charged. There we go. So they're all shuffled up in there now. But that's the cardboard one. I'll put it away. Time of video release, these are not available to purchase yet. We're going to make some nice custom drawbags for these too, and then we're also working on flux cores. And so I just have a prototype here just to kind of show you because it's neat. So you've got this 3D printed flux core. These are not the final colors. This is a prototype, but it's kind of a translucent purple, so you can kind of see through it. And then there's going to be an exhausted one as well. And I think this, we're experimenting with some colors with this silver casing. I think it's going to be darker than that in the final version, but we are working on it. They're super cool. I'm really proud of them. So this is something to look forward to. And once these are ready, I'll make like an Etsy showcase video, and I'll do another playthrough just to kind of show them off. And then at the end of the game, you'll see I use this in the Hypersync video recently too. We've got this prototype Anachrony scoring dials. These are not the final colors. This will be like that sort of purpley and silver as well, but this is just a prototype, so I'll use that at the end. But all that stuff is coming. So with all that out of the way, let's get started. And just looking at the setup here, in Era 1, the super project is Tectonic Drill. I really, really like that one, so I would not mind grabbing it. But then I know throughout the game, I'm really going to need life support, I think, because Path of Dominance on the B side does not gain any water for these empty, unused exosuit slots. So I'm going to need a way to generate water. So I'm going to have to focus on life support a little bit. I'm going to want to get a lot of workers for my evacuation, and I've got to get this track up. And then the end game goals. So there's water, breakthroughs, and super projects. So those are kind of things that I guess I want to focus on as well. Breakthroughs make sense with quantum loops. That should be helpful. But having a lot of water, no water generation here, that's more reason to get 3 life supports if I can, or at least a couple really effective ones. And so, like I said, I know I want Tectonic Drill, and one of these two is going to be the quantum loops. I forget what the super project is called, but the super project that comes with quantum loops, and I'd really like to get that too. So that means 2 of these sections, probably labs and factories, are going to get super projects in them. I'm going to need at least some time travel ability. So I don't know, that's kind of where my head's at. And then looking at the timeline tiles, chances are Chronosis is going to place 1 warp tile here in the second era, so I'd really like to place 2. So I don't think I need to go after the first player spot this time. But let's get into the first era now. So the preparation step is complete. There's no paradox phase for the first era, so we're in the power-up phase, and we start with Chronosis. So I've left the bag out here, so we're going to draw 3 tokens, and Chronosis, of course, starts with 3 suits, pointing over there in the pre-impact eras. So we've got a charged core, an exhausted core, and an exhausted core. So 1 exhausted core goes back in the bag, the other 2 get discarded, and that means 1 more suit for Chronosis. And I can already say I'm really, really pleased with these. I'm excited to be using them. They work very well. I think they're easy to see whether a core is charged or not, and they're a little more satisfying to hear rattling around in that bag than the little cardboard chits. So anyway, I need to charge up some suits. I'm going to want these 3, and I'm not going to get any water for any suits that I don't, or any slots that I don't use. So really I just need to think about what I'm going to do with these suits. And I think I'd really like to get this foreign labor quantum loop, because that will get me 3 more workers in the active column. So I know I want a quantum loop. I know I'd like to get this super project. And then really, this life support looks pretty good. This factory looks pretty good too. So I think I'm going to need the energy cores, and if I get Tectonic Drill, I should have plenty of extra resources. So I'd like to build a few times. I'm going to need some breakthroughs. I do notice there's a small chance that if I roll a 4, I guess there's a 1 in 3 chance. If I roll a 4 on Chronosis' first turn, they're immediately going to build this and it'll go away. So I hate to rely on that, but I think I'm going to spend 2 energy cores to charge up 2 more exosuits. Let's go big in this first era. And then I do not gain any water, and then we go to the warp phase. And Chronosis will place first, but I need to choose ahead of time, and I'm going to start. I'm definitely going to get quantum loops. I'm going to go for foreign labor this very first turn, and I think I'm going to grab a gold as well. So let's roll for Chronosis to see how many warp tiles we're going to place. 1, so that was expected. They get a bonus, and regardless of what's printed there, which was a 1 VP, Chronosis gains 2 VP. Always 2 VP for Chronosis for the alternate timeline. So now I get to place my 2, and I'm going to gain 1 VP and a gold. Here's my gold, here's my VP, I'll keep that over here. And it got a little bit crowded over here, so I don't know if you saw. My path marker is here just to denote what era my focus is on. And now I place my quantum loop. But before I can take a quantum loop card, because Chronosis placed a warp tile, they need to roll. And if they roll a 4, they will take a quantum loop card first because they're the first player. And it is a 4. So they're going to take the rightmost card. That's Interdimensional Espionage. That's just out of the game. That's not coming back. But I can choose from what's left. Now, if I didn't like what was left, I would have the option to retrieve that quantum loop warp tile, but I could not replace it then with a different warp tile. That's kind of it. But if you don't like what's there, or if there's nothing left when it gets around to you, you can retrieve that tile. But I want foreign labor, so I'm going to take this. And then as a reminder, if you want to increase the difficulty further, instead of rolling a 4 for this, you can choose to have Chronosis take a quantum loop card when they roll a 4 or a 5. So the chances go from 1 and 3 to 1 and 2. But I will not be doing that today. So I have this foreign labor card. I immediately get the effect. I spend 2 water and decrease my morale track 1 space, which is not great for my evacuation, but at least it starts a little higher for this path. And now I gain 3 different workers from the supply, and they come motivated. So they just have to be different types of workers. So I'm going to take a genius, an engineer, and a scientist. I'm taking the engineer because I think I'm going to do a lot of building, and an engineer is part of the cost for that super project. I'm taking the scientist because I think breakthroughs are going to be more important in this game. And then obviously the genius is pretty flexible. So even though I don't have an admin, I didn't take one of those. Now, in order for me to get that quantum loop warp tile off the timeline, I time travel just like any other warp tile, but I have to pay back a specific breakthrough, and this one is the genetics breakthrough type. So this just stays by me. It's sort of in my hand, but I've used its ability. The Chronosis, of course, does not interact with its ability at all. So that's it for the warp phase for the first era. Now we can get going on actions, and Chronosis is first player, so just don't roll a 4, please. 5. So the Chronosis is going to recruit, and they're, of course, going to take the genius. And the Chronosis always gains 1 VP as a recruit bonus. So now we advance the token. Retrieve the die in that order. I try not to take the die until I've advanced the token so I don't forget. And now it's my turn. And I would like to hurry up and build a factory before Chronosis takes it from me. So I'm sending an engineer to the construct action. I want to build this first factory spot, so that's going to be a 1 titanium and 1 gold. And I'll take this factory here. And now I can spend 2 resources to gain 2 energy cores. So that is all kind of assuming that I'm going to get tectonic drill and have lots of extra resources. So now it's my turn, or Chronosis' turn. 5 again. Breakthrough, okay. So Chronosis is researching. Let's roll these 2 die to see what they get. Technology, square. So there's the breakthrough tile. And advance the token. And back to me. And I would like to research as well. So I'm going to put a scientist in an exosuit. Go here. I've got to pay 1 water. Don't have much of that left. Which reminds me, I should get a life support. But I've got a little time. So what I think I'm going to do, so this needs any genetics, and this needs any, or that needs a circle with technology, or any triangle, any square. So the symbol die, it's got technology and genetics and a question mark. So there's a 50-50 chance I'll get one of those 2 things if I set this to circle, which I know is kind of a gamble, but I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set this to circle, roll this. Genetics. Okay, so it didn't help with the super project, but I'll be able to pay back this quantum loops card later now. So now we go back to Chronosis. And we've got a 4, so they are going to construct a factory. So they take this spot here, and this one's worth 2 VP, this one is 1, so they will take this one. Oh, look at that, another one to gain energy cores. I feel like I never see those when I need them, but that is proving untrue right now. So now I advance the token, and we have an auto leap, gain 1 victory point. So 1 VP for Chronosis, and advance the token again. All right, and they'll be going to the mines if they roll a 4. So what am I going to do? Well, I can probably use a trip to the mines as well, and maybe more than one. So let's, although now that I'm thinking about it, after we pass this era, I have no means of time traveling. I might need a power plant. Well, I'll worry about that next era. Yeah, let's go to the mines. We'll send an engineer. And what do I want? Assuming I do get this life support at some point, I'm going to want gold. This is going to cost some gold, but it never hurts to have a little titanium either. So let's, for now, we'll go here. I'll grab a gold and a titanium. Those are both pretty valuable for me. I'm not seeing a use case for uranium at the moment. And Chronosis goes again. 2. So Chronosis wants to construct a power plant. That's the only way they can do it. They remain the first player. This one's worth 1 VP. This one's worth 2. So they're going to take this one. And now a 4 or a 2 will send Chronosis to the mines, though they have no suits left. And I have a couple suits. So I've got options. And I can no longer construct, but I am going to want to build this life support later. Let's send my genius, I think, to the mines. We'll go here. And take a titanium and another gold. Good to have. And that way my genius will come back motivated. And now we go to Chronosis. Can't see what that is. A 3. Okay, so Chronosis would like to build a life support. They have no suits left, so instead Chronosis passes for the era. It's back to me. And I think I'll take an engineer in this suit and go here. And recruit a scientist. So I think breakthroughs are going to be important. And that costs me 1 water to go there, but the scientist gains me 2 water, so I'll just take 1 water. And now the only other thing I can do, I can't afford to increase the morale track. I can't pay that water, so I could decrease my morale track again, which is not great for evacuating, but I've got time. But that would only get me 1 worker who could then go here and get me a couple of energy cores, which is nice, but I think if I've got to decrease this, I'd rather wait until the next era and wake up all these workers. So I think I'm going to pass now, and that'll be the end of the first era. So now we go into the cleanup phase. So I'm going to retrieve my workers. It's not time for impact or the end of the game, so we're just going to go into era 2. We'll start with the preparation phase. So I'm going to refill the mines and the recruit pools. I'm going to reveal the next super project. I'm going to shift the building stacks, and I will replenish the quantum loop offer. And after all that's done, it'll be time for the Era 2 paradox phase. So I will see you then. All right, and I'm back and ready for Era 2, and we start by rolling for paradoxes. I guess before I do that, the new super project is Self-Contained Paradise, which would be very nice for the Path of Dominance on this B side of the board, but I think I'd still rather have Tectonic Drill. And then looking at the new tiles here, this one's pretty interesting. You can put an admin on this lab and spend 2 water and then gain a genius. So that would help with me just having an engine to get more workers, which would be good for my evacuation scoring. I would just need to get an admin and then kind of dedicate them to that every era. So that is intriguing. This other factory looks very cool. You spend a gold and a water and you gain a neutronium and a victory point. And then this power plant looks good too. So it's just 1 victory point, lets you time travel up to 3 eras back, nothing special, but you can remove a warp tile when you build that building, and that sounds kind of nice too. But that action does not apply to the quantum loops warp tile. So I don't know, not necessarily the most important thing. So let's start with those paradoxes. Chronosis is the first player, but looking at era 1, they've got 1 warp tile, I've got 2, so they don't need to roll at all. So I need to roll, and only for era 1. And 1 paradox token for me. That's okay. Oh, and one thing that I did kind of forget is this ability. When I built a super project, I don't have to put it as far left as possible. I can put it on any adjacent two spaces in any row. So that's interesting. I should keep that in mind. But now that we've done paradoxes, it's time to power up. Chronosis starts with 3 suits because we're still pre-impact. And now I draw 3 more tokens. And we have an exhausted core. A second exhausted core. Oh boy. And a third exhausted core. Wow, that's going to be okay for now, but bad for later. So no more suits for Chronosis, but I get to power some up. And I think I'm going to want probably 5 again. I'm going to assume that I'll be getting more energy cores later. So I'm going to spend these 2 cores on 2 more suits. So I'm out of suits, and at this point I could exchange 2 water for a new core, or I could have exchanged some of those cores for 2 water, but I am electing not to do that, and I do not gain any water for this empty spot. So now we go to the warp phase, and again I need to select my warp options first, even though Chronosis will place first, and they will likely place 1 tile, and then if I can place 2, I will get the double effect and a victory point. If they happen to roll a 0, there's a 1 in 6 chance that I'll still get the double. If they happen to roll a 2, I'm going to be kicking myself because then I won't get the doubling, and I will also gain a paradox, which will not be fun. But I think the only thing that makes sense is to place 2. And so how can I make best use of this doubling? And also, what do I need? I think I need neutronium because I'm going to want to time travel at some point here. There's no way to get neutronium out there. I need 1 to build a power plant, so let's do that, and that might be what I double. And I think in the immediate term, I could use a little bit of water right now as well. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's see what Chronosis does. 1. All right, chances were good. That would be the case. So Chronosis places 1 there, and we'll see if that's going to be a quantum loop or not. Yeah, I'm going to double this neutronium. I'm going to put that there, get 2 neutronium, and when the time comes to pay that back, I've only got to pay back the 1, and then I get 2 water and a victory point. So here's the victory point and the water. That worked out pretty good. And now we'll roll for Chronosis because they placed a warp tile. If they roll a 4, they take the next quantum loop card. 5. Okay, so the quantum loop card stays. Now, I didn't have any opportunity to grab these cards because my quantum loop warp tile is still in the timeline. I've got to get it back. But really, any of these would be really cool to have. And I know that this 4th era, this is going to be the super project to build or to interact with the quantum loops cards. So if you take a quantum loops card, you can also take an action off of one of the remaining cards. And I really, really would like to have that too. So we're going to go super projects crazy right now. But now it's time for action rounds, and first player is Chronosis. So let's roll. And we've got a 4. So Chronosis will go to the mines. And we'll start at the top and gain a uranium and a gold. Okay, they may go to the mines again if they get a 2 there. So I think I'm going to take a construct action. And I'm going to go here with an engineer, and I'm going to construct this first power plant. I'm going to need that. So it's going to cost 1 neutronium, 1 titanium, and 1 water. And I'm going to take this power plant here. And when I build that power plant, I can retrieve 1 warp tile from the timeline. Now, importantly, I cannot retrieve the quantum loop tile that way, but I can retrieve them from the current era, which is kind of interesting. It doesn't count as a time travel, but I think I want to do that. And I'm going to retrieve this one so that I don't have to pay back the water, because water's kind of tight right now. Ooh, and I'm just now realizing that if Chronosis rolls a 3, they're going to build this power plant or this life support that I really want and kind of have built everything around getting. So don't roll a 3, I guess. I should have built that before the power plant. That was a mistake, but I'm going to live with it. So let's see what Chronosis does. Not a 3, not a 3. How dare you? I shouldn't have said anything. I brought that into existence myself. So... that's going to be a real problem. Because neither of these are going to be super helpful, I don't think. I'm going to need water real bad. Oh man, that was such a good tile. I messed up. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Early in the game too. That might really cost me. I need a super project that lets me re-roll Chronosis's move. So Chronosis, if they roll a 4 or a 5 now, they will construct again and take that first player's spot. And then I won't be able to construct anything else this era, which would not be my favorite. Oof, and I was kind of waiting to get that building to get some water to be able to move this morale track up. Ooh, I have really messed up pretty bad here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send a scientist to get a breakthrough by doing the research action. And I'm going to set... I'm going to set this to warfare and hope that I roll a circle. Oof, square, okay. So that tectonic drill is getting out of reach. And maybe I abandon that super project altogether now and just plan on getting the one in the next era. Or I could use this square to build this one, I suppose, too. Let's see what Chronosis does before I plan too far in advance. 4. Okay, I'm not building anything this era. Because Chronosis is going to be first player, and they're going to construct this lab here. And they're out of suits, at least. I've got 3 more suits, but what in the world am I going to do? Well, I think I'm going to send a scientist here to time travel back to the first era. There we go. I'm going to pay back this quantum loop by paying back this genetics breakthrough tile. So this quantum loop is paid back. Now it just goes to the end of the line here. I gain this back. And oops, I will plan on using it later. And I do advance my time travel track for that. And Chronosis is next, probably passing unless they roll a 3. 5. Yeah, Chronosis passes for the second era. So I've got 3 suits left. So here's how this is going to go. I'm going to, I'm going to put a scientist in a suit. And I'm going to send him up here to the water purifier and gain 4 water. So just pretend I did that. Pretend I gained my 4 water. And now I'll take this free action to spend 4 water, advance the morale track. And now all these workers here are awake and motivated. So gain 4 water, spent 4 water, and I could take another action. Or really waking up was part of the next action. And I think I'm going to take a genius, put them in a suit, go recruit, and I'm going to gain another genius. And for my recruit bonus, I'm going to take 2 water. There we go. So I'm up to 5. And now I'm going to put a scientist in a suit and do another research action. So that will cost me 1 water. But I think at this point, I'm going to set this to triangle, roll this. That'll at least give me some options for the next era. Oh, question mark. Okay, what kind of triangle would I like? How about society? I'll grab a society triangle. Because maybe I'm going to go after this card later, which needs society to pay back, but who knows. And now I've got another action left. I'm going to put an engineer here and spend 2 basic resources. Let's do 1 gold and 1 uranium, and then I gain 2 power cores. Okay, so now I will pass. So we are in the cleanup phase, and then I will do the preparation phase for Era 3, and then I'll see you in the paradox phase of Era 3. So here we go. All right, and we are in the 3rd era now. The new super project is the Multiverse Hub. We knew that was coming, and there are some interesting buildings now. This is not as good as the one I was looking at before, but I might grab this life support. This lab is pretty good. Maybe I just don't focus on time traveling so much. As long as I can get my warp tiles back off of the timeline, I can find other ways to score besides time traveling. And in fact, these are all 12 at the end anyway, so the last couple spots aren't really that helpful. There were no new quantum loop cards because there were at least 3 cards in the offer already, and then still no neutronium at the mines. I would have liked that, but it's time for the paradox phase. So Chronosis rolls first. We are tied on era 1 and era 2, so Chronosis rolls twice. Ooh, and they got a double and 1. So that's an anomaly for Chronosis. Let's go ahead and let them pick one now. And these will both allow Chronosis to remove a warp tile. And they are both tied in terms of the negative VP impacts. They're going to take it from the secondary stack in that case. And Chronosis can remove a warp tile, but let's just remember that we're tied on eras 1 and 2, so I will roll twice as well. Chronosis will remove this warp tile. and that is not a time travel action. So now I need to roll twice. I'm going to need a blank to avoid an anomaly. 1. And a blank. How about that? Okay. So I still gain a paradox, but if I wanted the dice to be in my favor, I rather would it have been so I can get that life support, but I will take that as a small victory. Now we're back to the power-up phase. Again, Chronosis starts with 3 suits pre-impact, and then we draw 3 more tokens, and they will likely be powering up some suits. We've got, wow, an exhausted core, a charged core, and a second charged core. So the exhausted one goes back in the bag, and 2 more suits for Chronosis. And how many suits shall I have? Not a lot of incentive to not power up a bunch of suits, playing as Path of Dominance. So let's just go ahead and do 5 suits again. I'll spend these 2 energy cores. I don't gain any water. Oop, and I didn't take that free marker back. And now we go to the warp phase. Again, Chronosis will place first, but I must make my selections first. And I think I've got to do a quantum loop, right? But I should probably do a second thing as well. And I'm still really needing water, so let's do some water. We'll do that one again. And let's see what Chronosis is going to do for warp tiles. As long as it's not 2, I'll be happy. 1. That's a good number. So 1 for Chronosis. I am going to get 2 water, 1 victory point, and a quantum loop. So let me grab the 2 water and the VP. There we go. And Chronosis needs to roll to see if they're going to take a quantum loop. So let's see if it's a 4. It is not. Okay, so I can take a quantum loop now. And which one's it going to be? I think I am going to go with future blueprints. So immediately I take this, any of the basic stacks. I'm going to take life support. And I'm going to look at the 5 buildings on the bottom of the stack. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, I'll set the rest of the stack here for a moment. And then I build one of these at a 1 titanium discount. And the cost is 2 titanium. So it's only going to cost me 1 titanium to build this building. So this one here on the right is identical to that one. This one is just 1 time, gain 8 water. I don't know if I love that. This one is identical to this one. So this is 1 time, gain 3 water, and then you have a free action to gain 1 water every turn. We have the Anachrony building here, so place an admin, they come back motivated, gain 2 water, plus 2 water for every power plant. But I wasn't planning on going real power plant heavy, so I don't know if that one's useful to me. It would give me 4 water right now, it's not bad. And then finally there's this one where you place your worker there, but your worker does not come back. Your worker dies, you lose your worker, you gain 7 water. And that doesn't help for this scoring criteria here, so I definitely don't want that one. So it's really going to be the Anachrony building, or the one that's the same as the one on the top of the stack. And I guess I'll go Anachrony. So then we take these and we put them in a random order, shuffle them real quick, don't look at them, put the rest of the stack on top. There we go. I pay 1 titanium, and now I have a life support building. So I definitely needed that. To pay back future blueprints, I need to pay back a society breakthrough of any kind, of any shape, so that's why I grabbed one here. What else now? I mean, that does encourage me to build probably another power plant, but then I can't pay back this neutronium. But maybe that's a problem for later. I don't know. We'll see. Chronosis goes first. Let's see what Chronosis is going to do. They have a lot of suits. They roll a 5, so they're building a power plant. Place a suit, I guess. Let's start that way. And these are both worth 3 victory points, so they will take from the secondary stack. Now we advance a 5 token, and that is an auto leap. So they gain a energy core back into the bag, and then advance the 5 token again. Okay, my turn. What's it going to be? And surprisingly, none of Chronosis's tokens are on a build action for their next turn. So maybe I'll build and then build again and finally be the first player. Now might be the time for that. So I think I'll start. I'm going to construct here. That'll cost me 1 water. And I'm going to construct, I'm going to go for this lab actually. That's really cool. I think it'll be helpful. So this lab's going to cost me 1 uranium, 1 titanium, and 1 more water. Okay. And now I can send scientists there to remove warp tiles from the timeline. That's pretty handy. So I don't really want to pay this stuff back. So now let's go to Chronosis. Roll 3. That is a time travel action. So no suit required. They're going to take this warp tile off the timeline and advance their own time travel track, and then advance the 3 token. And back to me. And I'm going to need to take this free action, spend 4 water to wake up my workers. So that is all my water. So I gain 1 genius, 2 engineers, and a bunch of scientists. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 scientists. Okay. And that was a free action. So now for my main action, I will send a genius here in place of an admin and gain 2 water plus 2 for this power plant. So now I've got my 4 water back. And now it's Chronosis, who still will not be building, which did factor into my decision. They rolled a 3, so that's 2 victory points and an energy core. So here's a 5. Let's take back 3. And another energy core in the bag. And then advance. Take back the die. And that 3 is now on build a super project. So if Chronosis rolls a 3, they're going to build the super project, because they do have a breakthrough, worth the most victory points in the present or past era. So they're going to take that one, which I still kind of want, even though I've not worked very hard to get it. So here's what I'll do. I will take an engineer, and I will construct. So I need to go to this space. I pay 2 water and become the first player. So switch out the banner. And I'm going to construct another life support. So that's going to cost a titanium and a water. Ooh, I don't have any titanium. Ooh, that's a problem. Uh-oh, I can't construct anything. And that would be a problem. Okay, I'm not going to do that then. Oops, messed up a little bit there. So let's backtrack. So as long as Chronosis doesn't roll a 3, I'll be able to do that next time. But this time I better go to the mines with this engineer instead. And so which spot do I want? I definitely want at least a titanium, so let's go here. What do I want for my second resource? Now let's just grab another titanium. That'd be good to have, and that would block Chronosis from getting titanium if they go to the mines too. So, okay, let's keep going. I can't see it. What is it? 4. All right, great. So Chronosis would like to recruit a genius if there's one available, but there's not. Otherwise, they will take a research action. So they're going there. Let's roll these dice. Whoopsie. Triangle. And warfare. All right. So that goes here. Advance the 4 token. And now I can send my engineer up here. Come on, Chronosis, you knew that was coming. Why didn't you stop me? 2 water, become the first player. And now build something. What was it going to be? Life support? Yeah, which cost me 1 titanium, 1 water. And I will build this one. Place it here. Ooh, and I want that next one. Yes, I do. But it should be available in the next era. So, okay, I'm starting to see the shape of things here, I think. So Chronosis will likely build that super project I've been working towards, but I'll grab this one next era, and that would be okay. Or no, they're not going to build. What am I talking about? Yeah, 3. They cannot build anything because there are no spaces available, so they're going to take a failed action and lose a suit. All right. And then we still advance the 3 tokens, so that's good. So that means this super project is not at risk of being taken at the beginning of the next era either. So all in all, that was pretty good. Good blocking by me, if I do say so myself. So I am now going to take a scientist, engineer. Which is it going to be? Engineer. I want to do that first. Might save me some water. So I'm going to send an engineer to recruit, and I'm going to recruit another engineer, which gains me a power core. Or energy core. There we go. And Chronosis is next. We have a 3. So Chronosis will spend 2 basic resources to remove an anomaly. Whoopsie. I think I'm pretty all right with that turn of events. And I will send a scientist somewhere. I suppose here. And spend a water, and I'm going to get another society type breakthrough for this research. Square. Okay, that works for me. And Chronosis is up again. 3. Chronosis would like to build a life support, but again, no building space is available, so failed action. So 1 victory point, lose a suit, and advance the token. That's probably best case scenario for me right now. So now I'll take this action to have a scientist go back up to 3 eras. I'm going to go back just 1 era, and I'm going to pay back that neutronium and gain that warp tile back. So that's a successful time travel, advance that track. Now it is Chronosis' turn again. 3, a lot of 3s. So Chronosis would like to copy me and time travel, but they don't have any warp tiles on any past eras, so that's a failed action. So they gain 1 victory point. They do not lose a suit in this case. They only lose the suit if they can't take the action because there are no available spots. So I'm going again, and I'll send a Genius here to gain 5 water. And Chronosis again. 4. So Chronosis would like to build a factory. There are no empty spots, so that is a failed action. So that's going to be 1 more victory point and loss of a suit. And then that auto leap still takes effect immediately, so 1 more victory point there. 4 token goes down here and back to me. So I'll send a scientist here to remove a warp tile from the timeline. I cannot remove my quantum loop tile, but I can remove tiles from the present era using that effect. So I will remove this water because I don't want to pay it back. I want more water, but that is not a time travel, so I don't advance the track. Now Chronosis goes. 4. Chronosis would like to go to the mines, but has no suit, so now Chronosis passes. And I've only got 1 action left. I'm going to send an engineer here, spend 2 basic resources, and that's going to be 2 gold. Now I gain 2 power cores. So now I pass as well. That is going to be the end of Era 3, so I'll do cleanup and then preparation, and we will be at the paradox phase of Era 4. Here we go. All right, so we are ready now for the 4th era in the paradox phase. There's a bunch of titanium and neutronium here at the mines now, so I really want that stuff. Now, I've left this warp tile here, like on the off chance that I can go back and grab that super project, but I'm really focusing on this one now. And looking at the buildings and knowing that I want at least 1 super project, if not 2, super project's going to go probably in labs or potentially in factory. I want to build another power plant and probably another life support as well would be good, particularly this life support, which is not in imminent danger of being taken, but if Chronosis were to build a life support, they would take that one. But it could save me some water over the course of the game for sure. I'm not real interested in either of the power plants that are there. And then there were no quantum loop cards, again, because there are already 3 in the offer, so we didn't draw any more. But really my intent this era is to I'll have to go to the mines, get a titanium and a neutronium, and then build this multiverse hub and be able to use quantum loop warp tile the next era to gain 2 quantum loop actions, which means I will have to pay this back this era. And I want to remain first player because I want to get this increase my morale track space at the beginning there because I'm still having trouble with water and I really need to get this up. Right now, the earliest I can get this to the top would be the 6th era if I do this every era, and that's going to cost water. But if I can get that space, then I can potentially evacuate in era 5, which would be good. And then I had not yet considered that I'm about to get an anomaly most likely too, but let's see how this paradox phase plays out. So I roll first, and I need to roll for 1, 2 eras. So unless I roll 2 blanks, I'm getting an anomaly. Okay. Let's see. 1 in 36 chance, 2 in a row. Yeah, okay. So I get an anomaly. Let's turn these in. And this one's just a little bit simpler. And either way, whichever one I took, Chronosis would still have 1 left to be able to remove a warp tile if they were to get an anomaly, which they're not going to do now, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to take this one. I'm going to put it all the way to the left here on my factory space. I'm least likely to want to put something there. And I can remove a warp tile now, and this is my only option. Cannot remove the quantum loop tile that way. And that is obviously not a time travel action. And then Chronosis, I had 1 here, which I just removed, so that didn't affect Chronosis. Chronosis just needs to roll for the 1 era, and they get 1 paradox token. So now it's the power-up phase, and I am first. And again, I'll take the 3 free ones, and I will do 2 more. That seems to be working okay. So I lose 2 of these, and that means I'm going to hold 1 over, which I'm going to need post-impact. And I don't gain any water. So we draw 3 tokens for Chronosis, starting with 3 suits. There's a charged energy core, a second charged energy core, and a third charged energy core. So these 3 go away. Chronosis gets 6 suits this era. That is a lot of suits. And now we go to the warp phase, and I am up first. And the question is just, do I just want to place 1 and then rely on Chronosis probably placing 1 and not getting a bonus? Or do I want to place 2 knowing that Chronosis will probably get a bonus? You know what? I don't have too hard a time getting warp tiles off the timeline. I'm not time traveling that much, but I am getting tiles off the timeline. So maybe I will grab 2. And I think I'm going to go with 2 workers, actually, because I've got a little bit of water right now. So that's going to cost me 2 water. I get a engineer and an admin. The admin will free up. I've got 2 geniuses and I've been using them on these 2 water spots. So I'd like to be able to actually send an admin instead. And then I've been doing lots of building and going to the mine. So I think an engineer is a good idea. So here's an engineer. Here's an admin. Spend my 2 water. And so place 1 of these here and gain 1 victory point. And place the other one here. And now Chronosis goes. They are going to place 2. Oh boy, even better. So they're going to gain 2 victory points for that bonus, and they ignore all of these penalties. So 2 VP for Chronosis. And because they've placed at least 1 warp tile, let's see. If it's a 4, then they take a quantum loop card. 5. Okay, great. So now it's time for actions, and I am starting with an engineer going to the mines. Let's take a titanium and a neutronium right away. And Chronosis goes next. 4. So Chronosis goes to the mines. So they're taking a uranium and a neutronium. And what was that? A 4. Okay. So right away, I'm going to take another engineer, and I'm going to take this first construct action, and I'm going to build this multiverse hub. So that costs 1 neutronium, 2 titanium, and 2 breakthroughs. And I just want to make sure I keep one of the society ones. I've got 2 of them, and I don't know that either one is better than any other, so I'll just take these 2 and spend them and gain the multiverse hub. So let's put this stuff away. This is spent, and I will place this here on my lab space. And now whenever I place this quantum loops warp tile, I can gain a quantum loop card and take an action from another card without actually gaining the card, which is awesome. So I'm pretty happy I got that done. Let's go back to Chronosis now. 5. Chronosis is going to recruit. And so that is going to be an admin, and they will gain 1 victory point. And then advance the token, take the die. Okay. And I am seeing that I don't really have any resources, so I think I need to quickly take a genius and send them to the mines. I'm going to get 1 gold for that. And I guess I will take a titanium as my other resource. Is probably good to have. And now back to Chronosis. 3. So that's going to be 2 victory points. And an energy core. Into the bag. And advance the token. Take the die back. My turn again. I'm running out of suits already, huh? Well, now I can take this admin and go here and gain 5 water. There we go. I'm going to need that. And Chronosis is next with 1, 2, 3, 4 suits left. Okay. 4. So that is a construct action. Chronosis is going to construct a lab. So I'll move the suit there. Of the labs that are left, this one's worth 2 victory points. The other's worth 1. Okay, and that was a 4, so we advance the token. Grab the die. And I was kind of waiting for this scenario for one of these spots to be filled up so I can go back to that World Council space because I'd like to remain first player. But then the only action I can take is construct. which I don't really want to do with my scientist, because then I don't get a discount and won't be able to afford anything. And the only thing I can even construct resources-wise is this third factory, assuming that I send a engineer or a genius. And I kind of wanted to leave those two spots open for another super project, because I think I want another power plant ideally, just to make this more valuable. And if I were to build a factory, well, there's a Neutronide factory there, so that would probably be the one. Oh boy, yeah, there's some stuff going on. Decisions to make. If I don't take that first player spot, Chronosis could take it if they roll a 3, and then they would also build a super project, which I don't really want them to do. That's a lot of points. So I think the only way for me to solve this, hopefully I've got enough water, take my free action first, pay 4 water to advance this track. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then I wake up all these workers. Then I send an engineer over there. That'll cost 2 water. Build this. That'll cost 2 water. Okay, I'll have exactly enough water, which don't love that, but that's what I'm doing. Okay, so I've woken up all of my workers. They're all motivated now. And then that was my free action. Now for my main action, I put a engineer in an exosuit, go to this World Council space, which cost me 2 water. I stay the first player, and now I build this factory, which will cost me now only 1 titanium, 1 gold, and 2 water. Oh man, that cost a lot of water. Now I gain this Neutronide factory, and it goes here. I can send an engineer there, and they come back motivated. It costs 1 water, and I gain 1 titanium plus 1 resource, 1 standard resource for each power plant that I have. So I think I'm finally just giving up on having a second super project, and I'll plan on building another power plant later. But okay, I think I made the best of my turn. Let's see if Chronosis rolls a 3 and proves me right. 5. Okay, that is a research action. So Chronosis is going to gain a breakthrough. Okay, Society Square. That's 3 breakthroughs now. Advance the 5 token, grab the die back to me. I've got 1 suit left, but most places I send it, it's going to cost me water, and I don't have any water. So let's go ahead and send a genius here and gain 2 water plus 2 for that power plant. So I've got 4 water, back to Chronosis. 3. All right, so Chronosis would like to build a super project, but there are no building slots available. So instead, it's a failed action, 1 VP, and loss of 1 suit. So now, what did I just say I'm going to do? I had a sort of plan. Oh, yeah, I'm going to take an engineer in this suit, go recruit for 1 victory point, or I'm sorry, for 1 water, and I'm going to gain another admin, and that gains me a victory point. So now I'm up to 5. And now we go back to Chronosis again. They rolled a 4, which is recruit or recruit a genius if possible, but they can't, so they're going to take the research action again. A lot of researching going on. Triangle, Society. So we place that there. And advance the 4 token. And back to me. I've got no more suits left, but still a lot of actions I plan to take. So most importantly, let's put a scientist here and time travel back 1 era and pay back this quantum loop card here with this society breakthrough. So this goes to the end, and I gain this tile back and advance my time travel track. Chronosis goes now. 5, and that is a construct action. There's no suits left, so Chronosis is done for the era, so now I get to just keep going. And so I will send an engineer here. That will cost me a water. I gain a titanium plus 1 basic resource for each power plant I have, so 1 more resource. It really doesn't matter what it is right now, so I'm going to take another titanium. And for my next turn, I'll send an engineer here and spend 2 basic resources. So there goes the titanium. And I gain 2 power cores. And now I will send a scientist here and remove one warp tile from the timeline. So it's going to be one of these two, either the engineer or the admin. And let's take the admin. I don't know if it really makes a difference, but let's take that one. Okay. And now I am done taking actions. So we're going to go into the cleanup phase of the 4th era, and then it's time for impact. So I'm going to do all the impact stuff, and then the preparation phase, and then we will be in the paradox phase of era 5 post-impact. So stick around. I will see you there. All right, so we are post-impact now in era 5, and I have a lot of thoughts, but I don't know. I feel a little bit directionless in this playthrough. So I don't know if it's better for me to try and end the game early or if I should try and extend it. I'm really conflicted here. But we're in the paradox phase. I am the first player, so I'm going to need to roll first, and there are no warp tokens here or here. And then Chronosis has a majority here and here. So I actually don't need to roll for paradoxes. That's very nice. But Chronosis needs to roll twice. So let's do that. 1, blank, you dog. And 2, 1 paradox token. So no anomaly for Chronosis this time. So next is the power-up phase, and I will take my 1 free suit, and I will spend all 3 of these energy cores on 3 more suits. Again, I could spend those energy cores in this phase on water, but I think I'd rather have the suits. So Chronosis needs to power up second. They've got 2 suits because we're post-impact. We're going to draw 3 tokens, but they can have a maximum of 4 suits. So we have a powered-up energy core, and an exhausted energy core, and another exhausted core. So 1 exhausted core goes back in the bag. These 2 are gone. 1 more suit for Chronosis. And now we go to the warp phase, and I am first. And I definitely want this, and I don't want that. So I'm only going to place 1 warp tile, and it's going to be the quantum loop to make use of this super project. So let's see what Chronosis does. None. Okay, so just 1 warp tile for me. Goes here, and the bonus is I get to advance my morale track like that. And now I take 1 quantum loop card and then take an action off of another quantum loop card. So I think I'm going to commit to evacuating the next era, not in era 5, but in era 6. And I think we'll try and end the game shortly thereafter. But that being said, I can still make that happen now if I take this one. High density universe, so I lose 1 worker and gain 4 basic resources, and I can lose any worker. Let's take 1 engineer because I've got a lot of those, and I will gain for my 4 resources 2 titanium, 1 gold, and 1 uranium, just for a little variety. So now I need any circle breakthrough to pay this back. And now for my second, to use my super project, I pick any of these remaining quantum loop cards, and I get the effect without having to take the card and pay back the cost and breakthrough tiles later. And I'm going to do foreign labor again. So I'm going to spend 2 water and decrease my morale track. And now I gain 3 different workers. So I'll gain another genius and scientist and an engineer. Okay, and that's it. So I'll plan to advance my morale track once, just per the normal action here this era, and then once again next era. So then I'll meet this criteria, and now I've got a bunch of workers, so I should score decently for that. So now I just need to plan out my turn, preparing for that eventuality next era. So I know I'm going to need a breakthrough tile here, and I'd like to build another power plant, ideally here, so I don't have to spend any neutronium. And I'd probably like to go to the mines. And then this could get me a couple workers, a couple breakthroughs. I probably want to take those 3 actions if possible. And so Chronosis always takes actions from top to bottom. So these 2 are more at risk than that one of being taken. And specifically, this one is most at risk. So for my first turn, this era, I'm going to send a engineer here. And so I can build, I can construct 1 building with a cost of minus 1 neutronium. So that's going to be a power plant. So instead of 1 neutronium, it's going to be 0. And then 1 titanium instead of 2 because I sent an engineer. Ooh, and then 2 water. I don't have that. Oh boy, I'm getting myself into jams left and right. I am probably going to lose that spot. I need water first. So it's instead an admin to here to get 5 water. That is going to be my turn. That might cost me. Okay, Chronosis goes next. What do I want? 3 is okay, 2 is fine. I don't want a 4 or 5. Really, I want a 3. What is it? What is it? What is it? 2. Okay. Not the best, not the worst. Chronosis goes here, takes a gold and a titanium because now they have one of each resource. So all those go away and they gain 5 victory points. So at least they didn't take the neutronium. That's still there. Now we advance the 2. It goes up. That's an auto leap, 1 victory point. So I'll put that right there. Advance again. 2 goes there. Okay, so I got a little bit lucky on that one. Now I will send my engineer here to build a power plant for 1 less neutronium. So it's going to cost 1 titanium and 2 water. So which one do I want? I don't think I'm going to use either, but this one is worth 1 more victory point, so that's what I'll take. Goes there. And now it's back to Chronosis. I didn't take this back last time, but I did advance the 2. All right, roll. 3. So now they would like to remove an anomaly, but they don't have one, and they don't have the resources to remove one. So that's just a failed action. Another victory point and advance the token. Okay, back to me. And I'm going to put a genius in a suit and go here to take 2 recruit actions. So I'm going to recruit first another genius and then an engineer. So put the engineer here, the genius here. The engineer gets me a power core, and for the genius I will take 2 water. So I'm pretty happy with that. Chronosis is next. 4. So construct a factory. And this is worth 1, this is worth 2, so they'll take the 2. Come on. Ooh, and then it's an auto leap for 1 victory point. So that's another 5, or another 5 token, I should say. Advance the 4 token again. All right, maybe I should go to the mines. And I think I'll send a engineer to the mines and grab a titanium and a neutronium. And Chronosis goes now. Keep rolling it where I can't see it. A 4. Okay, Chronosis goes to the mines, so I made a good call there. Got the neutronium while I could. Chronosis takes the only stuff it can, a uranium and a titanium. Advance the token, back to me. Do I want to be first player next time? Because I am running up against that. So I want to send a scientist here and get 2 breakthroughs. That would be super helpful. But then if Chronosis rolls a 3, 4, or 5, they will they can't construct because they're out of suits. Okay, cool. Even better. So I'm sending a scientist to this space, and I can take the research action twice. So I need 1 circle. So for the first time, we'll set that to a circle. Technology. So I'll use that to pay back this card later. And then I get a second breakthrough. I'll just leave it on circle and get something else, I guess. Maybe I'll put it on square. Let's get a square. Warfare square. Got it. Okay, back to Chronosis. 4. Yeah, they'd like to construct, but they don't have any suits, so Chronosis is done for the era. Now it's back to me. And it definitely looks like just looking at the collapsing capital tiles, that we can easily end this next era. So that's good. So because Chronosis is done, I will start by taking this free action, spending 5 water to advance my morale track and wake up all of my workers. So let's get some scientists back. And some engineers, and 1 admin. And what is my main action going to be? I guess let's send a genius here because they'll come back motivated. And I gain 2 water plus another 4 for those power plants, so 6 water. So here's 6 water, and I just keep going. So I'll send an engineer here, spend 1 water, and I gain 1 titanium plus 1 standard resource for each of those power plants. So how about another uranium and another gold? And now I will spend an engineer to go here and spend 2 basic resources. I'll just use that gold and uranium that I just grabbed and get 2 more energy cores. Now my question is, I could either send a scientist here and remove that warp tile from the timeline and then it's just gone. I could take a time travel action, pay back an engineer. That'll be 1 less worker I have, so maybe I want to put that off. Or, yeah, that's it. I guess that's it. So I think ideally I would pay that back with time travel to advance my track, but I don't want to do that until after I've gotten my point for having my worker. So I am going to pass for the rest of this era. So that was relatively quick, I think. So I'll go into the cleanup phase. I will make sure these 4 tiles collapse, and then I am going to do my very best to end this in era 6 and hope I come out on top. So I will see you in the next era. Here we go. All right, and we're back, and we're in era 6, and I think this is going to be the last era. But we start off by rolling for paradoxes. I am the first player, and I need to roll just 1 time for era 5. So, which one? This one here. I have no paradox tokens now, so I'm pretty darn safe. 2, that's okay. 1, 2 paradox tokens, and now Chronosis needs to roll 1 2 times, and unless they roll 2 blanks, they're getting an anomaly. There we go, there's the anomaly. So of the anomalies available, neither of these will allow Chronosis to remove a warp tile because they both require that you be pre-impact for that, and they're both worth -2 victory points. So the tiebreaker is just taking the one from the secondary stack. So that worked out about as good as it could for me. Take those paradox tokens back. Now we power up. I'm first, and I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4 spots again, spending all 3 of these energy cores. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And Chronosis, post-impact, starts with 2 suits. We draw 3 tokens, but there's a max of 4 suits. There are only, I'm feeling, 2 tokens in the bag. So we've got a charged energy core and an exhausted core. The exhausted one goes back in the bag. 1 more suit for Chronosis. And now we go to the warp phase. And I will probably do 2 warp tiles. And I could do 2 workers. That'll be worth 2 points. But I think I can make more use out of a neutronium right away. Get more points than 2 out of that. I think I'll go with 2 water for my second warp tile. And let's see what Chronosis is going to do, even though I place mine first. 1. All right, so I'm going to get 1 neutronium and 1 victory point and 2 water. So here's the victory point, 2 water and a neutronium. Okay, and now 1 for Chronosis, and Chronosis ignores the penalty. But we do need to roll just to see if they get a quantum loop. It doesn't really matter, but if we went another era, it would matter, so let's just make sure we do it. 2. Okay, no quantum loop. And so we go to actions. I am the first player, and I'm not going to waste any time with this. I'm going to send an engineer in a suit to this space here to take a construct action. So it costs me 2 water to go there. I'm constructing another power plant, so that costs 2 neutronium and 1 titanium and 2 more water. So I've got enough resources. Luckily this time, since I have proven that I have not been counting that ahead of time. So I'm grabbing this one, mostly just because it's worth 4 victory points, and I think that's good to have. But also, it'll help me at these neutronide buildings. I'm going to be just on the bubble, I think, for having 8 water to be able to score anything there. I don't think I'm going to have enough breakthroughs. Yeah, chances are super low. Yeah, I won't have enough breakthroughs. I'm not going to score for that, and I won't have enough super projects either. So I've not played very well towards those solo objective cards, but hopefully I can get enough VP elsewhere. But I've got to say, I'm not feeling very good about the scoring prospects on this particular round, or this particular game of Anachrony. So let's let Chronosis go now. 4. Chronosis would like to construct, but I've taken the only construct space. That's why I did that first. So it's a failed action, 1 victory point. Lose a suit, advance the token. All right, and next I'm going to take a genius and go recruit. So I'll take this spot here, and I gain the recruit bonus twice, and I can actually take 2 different recruit bonuses if I like. So I'm going to recruit another genius. What am I going to do bonus-wise? It's either water or victory point, or either 4 water, 2 victory points, or one of each, a 2 water and a 1 victory point. So I got to do some quick math on my water here to see if I'll score anything for this. I think I'm going to take 1 victory point twice, 2 victory points. So back to Chronosis, and really I would like, yeah, I think Chronosis will probably take that space, which will leave me free to go to the mines and evacuate. Otherwise, I'd evacuate, and then I would want to take this space to make sure that the game ends this era. So let's see what Chronosis does. But a 4 would lead to taking that space, and if a 2 and then another 2 later would also lead to that. So there's a good chance Chronosis will take that collapsing capital spot. 4, yep. So Chronosis would like to recruit a genius, but they can't, so in lieu of that, they will gain another breakthrough. Triangle Technology. Okie dokie. And advance the 4 token. So this is definitely the last era, so I'm going to take this opportunity real quick to go to the mines. And I'm going to go... I don't know if it really matters. It doesn't. I'm just going to go here. Yeah, I'll go here. I'll take a uranium and a neutronium. I just want the neutronium so that I could pay back this warp tile at the end of the game. Although, wait, let me put this back. You know what? I've got a different idea. See, another path. Let me send this genius here. And they can take 2 of these trade with the nomad actions. So I don't need any of my resources anymore. So I'm going to spend 2 resources, a gold and a uranium, to get a neutronium. And then I'll spend 2 resources again to titanium to get 3 water. That was a better action that I didn't see myself taking. So now we will roll for Chronosis. 5. So Chronosis would like to construct, but there are no open spots for Chronosis to be able to do that. So it's a failed action, 1 victory point, and lose their last suit. So Chronosis is likely to pass, but first they still get this energy core. Even though we know we're not going to have another era, they gain an energy core and then advance again. All right, back to me. So what do I want to do before I evacuate? Is there anything? It doesn't look like it to me. So let's, I don't know, take a scientist and send them to do the evacuation action. So I can do that because, nope, I can't. My morale track is not all the way up yet. Nice try, scientist. Let's do that first. No, and I never took this back from the last era. So place that back there. Spend 5 water as a free action. Advance the morale track and then wake up all these workers, motivate them. And that's how I know for sure that this was left there from the last era, because I haven't done anything that would make me have this many unmotivated workers since the cleanup phase of the last era. So they would not be there if I had already taken that action. Okay, so that was a free action. Now we go here and we evacuate, and just for fun, we'll mark it. Okay, so my morale track is maxed, so I get 3 points for that, and then 1 for every worker I have. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 here in my await column. None here. 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 plus 3 is 22 victory points. Again, not really groundbreaking, but respectable. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22. Oh, that's another 5. I didn't see one of those singles. Okay, that's something. So we go back to Chronosis. They are likely done. They're definitely done. We'll roll anyway. 3. They would like to build life support. They cannot. They have no suits, so Chronosis is done for the game. So now I'm going to go back and take a bunch of actions. So first, let's go back up to 2 eras here, and I'll pay back this quantum loop. It just needs any circle. I have a circle, so this is paid back. Gain this tile. That is a time travel action. Advance that track. And for my next turn, I will go back up to 3 eras, 1, 2, and I will pay back an engineer for my active column. And now I gain that tile back. And that is also a successful time travel action. Advance my track again. Now I will send a scientist here to remove a warp tile from the timeline. Let's make this 2 water. I would rather have some extra water at the end of the game if possible to score here. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. We'll see. And I don't think there's any point to me getting any of these resources. I'm not going to score for them. I'm not going to use them to get energy cores. If there was another phase, I could use that, or another era, I could use the energy cores to get more water, but there's not another era, so I don't think I need to mess with any of that. Oh, no, that's not true. I lied. Send an engineer here and spend a water, and I gain 1 titanium plus 3 more standard resources. Let's just gain all titanium. So 4 titanium. I need to do that, and then send a admin here, gain 5 water. And I'll send an admin here and gain 2, 4, 6, 8. So 13 water in total. So here's 2 5s, 3 singles, 13 water. Now I'll send an engineer here. I need to spend 2 standard resources and 1 water. And now I can remove an anomaly. So let's get that out of here. Come on. There we go. And I think that's probably it. Yeah, I could time travel again, but I've got nowhere to go, no reason to do it. I could spend these 2 titanium to get more energy cores. That doesn't have any effect either, so I'm going to pass. And that is it for Era 6, and that is it for the game. So that was pretty cool. Let's go to scoring, and I will start with Chronosis. And for Chronosis, I will use, again, this scoring dial here. That is, again, a prototype. These are not final colors, but this is kind of how it's going to look. So we'll have these for sale on Etsy before too long. I'll definitely post a video when the time comes. So let's start with these victory points. You got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26, 27, 27. And now we will take a look at the time travel track. That's worth 2 victory points, 29. And what else here? We've got these whatever these are, breakthrough tiles. We've got square, triangle, square, triangle, triangle. Wow, no circles in there. So that's just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So we go from 29 to 34. Did a good job blocking Chronosis from building super projects that time, I feel like. So now we will take a look at buildings. 3 and 2, 2 and 2, 1, 2 and 2, and a -2. All right, so 5 for power plants. We're up to 39. And then 4 for factories. That gets us to 43. Another 1 for life support. And then 2, 2, and -2. So just 2 more. So we're at 46. And I think that might be it. 46 for Chronosis. I don't see anything else to score. So, of course, no negative VP for any warp tiles out here for Chronosis. They don't score the solo goals. Solo goals. I can speak sometimes. I talk good words. So I will go into scoring for myself, first starting with untangling the continuum, so I can pay back this 1 neutronium to get this warp tile back. It is not a time travel action, but now I don't have a penalty. Otherwise, that would have cost me 2 victory points. So I've only got that 1 prototype scoring dial, so I'm going to use this one from Voidfall. I'll use the blue one since I'm playing Path of Dominance. So I start with, start with victory points again. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Pretty good start. And then I get 10 for time travel. I'm at 40. And another 6 for morale. So I am tied with Chronosis already, 46. And then we'll do buildings. I get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is going to get me to 54. Another 3 here. That's 57. Another 3 here. That's 60. And then 2 and 6, so I'm at 68. What else do I need to score? Oh, I've got 1 breakthrough, so that's 1 point. I'm at 69. And then just these solo goals, I think. So how much water do I have? I've got 10, 11, 12, just enough for tier 2. So 2 water gets me to, 12 water gets me 2 victory points, 71. and 1 breakthrough tile is not enough. I need 3 to score anything, and my 1 super project's not enough. I need at least 2 super projects to score. So I think that's going to be it. So final score is Narrator 71, Chronosis 46. So that was definitely fun. The scoring tells me a couple things. One, it tells me I'm still really bad at gauging the score throughout the game. I felt like I was really behind. I was having a hard time doing the things I wanted to do. I really wish that I left that open, that action space, because there were so many times I wanted to use it. And then obviously all of these action tiles were on the B side, and I knew like really these two weren't in reach, and I didn't think that was going very well either. So I was not real pleased with the solo objectives. I saw these stacking up. I felt like I was spending a lot of my actions blocking rather than doing the things I necessarily really wanted to do, and I didn't feel good about my scoring prospects and my leader's ability here. So I felt like I was struggling through the game and doing like just as much as I could to scrape by. But when we get to the end here, I won by more than 50%, so I guess I played okay. But yeah, that was hopefully that gave you a taste of the Quantum Loops module in action. I would have liked to interact with it more. It's too bad that multiverse hub came out in Era 4. I mean, if that had been in Era 1, I would have gotten to use it a few more times and would have gone through maybe more of these cards. There were 3 of them that never came out: Privileges of the Multiverse, Time Loop Amplifier, and Time Wave Neutralizer, which are all pretty cool. But I really like this module, and so I will use quantum loops, and similarly, like on the last video, hypersync, the hypersync future actions. I will use either of those modules or both of them with anyone who would want to use it with me. So just like I kind of use the neutronide buildings are always shuffled in here, the variable anomalies, the alternate timeline, I almost treat hypersync and quantum loops the same way. As long as folks want to play it, I will use them, and it's really convenient that they play nice with fractures of time too. So there you go. Let me know what you think though in the comments. If I missed anything, if I made any rules errors, if you have any questions, just leave me a comment. Let me know. Let's talk about it. If you've got any suggestions for how I could have played better, I'm always open to that too. I would appreciate it. And then the next time I play Anachrony on this channel, it will be time for Fractures of Time. So looking forward to that. That'll be cool. And do keep an eye on the channel for when I have, these drawback tokens with accompanying bags. Those will be coming out. These score dials will be coming out. When all that stuff's ready, I will definitely do a video about it. So don't miss it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. And leave a like on the video, share it, and consider heading over to my Ko-fi page, KO-FI. There's a link in the description. You can drop me a couple bucks. It helps keep the channel running, and it is super, super appreciated. I will make sure to call it out on the next channel update video, which again is the first week of each January and July. But that's what I've got for you this time. I had a lot of fun. I hope you've been enjoying the series. We're getting close to the end, but it has been an awesome ride. So thank you so much for watching Table for One. I hope you have an awesome week, and I will see you in the next video.